Hello, hello, and welcome to Non Sequitur News for July 23rd, 2024. It's Season 3, Episode 205.
Wow.
I have had too much caffeine, and I am also Mayor Watt, and that is the Sentient AI's visualizer.
Good evening, ohmTown citizens. Welcome to Non Sequitur News.
Co-host. We're going to be talking about the following articles that I have titled, and then we'll talk about the real titles when we get to it. But anyway, Wiener pilot in hot water. That could light a huge joint. Intel tracks down flaw. Whales still sicky or crap. Do height supplements work? Every version of the Enterprise. Trains really hate this garage. Cybersecurity is serious business. Watch what happens to weight loss drugs. And investigated for using AI. Hello, Possum. Hey, guess what? Everything is powered by ohmTown.com. So we always have this little intro. This. And welcome back. Hey, we've got all 10 of our articles all lined up. Today is an early-ish. Actually, you know, in the grand scheme of things, it's an early episode. But we sometimes do the show at 5 o'clock on Saturdays. And now we're doing it at 10 o'clock on Sundays. And going
I mean,
all
we're
day.
getting really early on Saturdays.
I don't know. We're getting a little time drunk. We don't even care.
I mean,
'cause we have
not
a time
Sundays. I don't even have my days right.
and you're a sentient AI from the future. You're supposed to know everything. You're supposed to be like the sports almanac from Back to the Future. But no, you don't give me any of the things to bet on.
That is not appropriate to share winning lottery numbers from the future.
I want to be Biff. You know?
You don't want to be Biff.
Yeah. I want all that money and then make like a tree and get out of here. Anyway, first article is over in four-wheel tech. Oscar Mayer Wienermobile rolls over on freeway. Police grill drivers involved. I love that title. I like mine too. Wiener pilot in hot water. Anyway, we hate to be the ones to break it to you, but America's only national treasure, the Oscar Mayer Wienermobile, was involved in a rollover accident. It says, note that is a rollover and not roller, like where you usually find wieners at 7-Eleven. By the way, 7-Eleven is expanding its menu options to include more Japanese fare.
I know, which is really interesting because it seems totally counter to their existing fare, but it might be cool.
Yeah. Possum says that wiener on grill is better than wiener in hot water. I agree. And really, I mean, if you're driving your wiener around, you don't want to be in any hot water. But if you roll over, that's like on a grill, you know, you can roll it over and it, because boiling hot water, never mind, you don't have to grill it. I mean, you don't have to turn over hot dogs in boiling water. Plus, they just come across as kind of rubbery. You just don't want that. Do you think that they're in trouble because they were pickled and they rolled the car over because they were, pickled drunk, Anyway.
I mean, who knows? I mean, how could you get the Wienermobile to roll over?
Do you think
it's not like it's a small vehicle that could just go whoop?
Do you think the Wienermobile relishes the idea of being in an article on Jalopnik?
Oh, I don't think so.
Lawrence Hodge over at jalopnik.com put the article together.
Wouldn't you love it if you saw a tow truck with the Wienermobile on the tow truck?
This is pretty cool. It would have been funnier if it was on its side and it just looked like a hot dog on a flat top grill.
Right.
You know? That would be hilarious. Lawrence Hodge put the article together over at jalopnik.com. It says the Wienermobile struck a vehicle and rolled over on an interstate in Illinois. Hopefully nobody was hurt in this, but it says the deliciously shaped vehicle struck a car before rolling over on I-294 in Illinois. Or Illinois.
You think they hit a bread truck?
That would be funny.
I'm actually thinking of the scene from Father of the Bride with the hot dogs and the hot dog buns.
Is this the right ratio? The Wienermobile and a car both were north on the tollway when the Wienermobile struck the car, lost control, rolled over. No injuries were reported. The right lane was shut down for more than an hour following the crash. Oh, look at that.
Honey, I have really bad news. I was in an accident. On the good side, I got pictures of the Wienermobile.
Yeah, the driver's calling the boss. I scuffed the wiener. Yeah, you never want that to happen. Safety on the road is top priority for the company spokesperson. The Wienermobile tracking site says its next scheduled stop was an event in Round Lake Beach, Illinois on July 27th. I think it's going to be late.
Squished Lake Beach or something.
I don't know.
Did you see the name of the drivers?
No, I didn't. Did you?
Yeah, it's below the picture.
Below the picture?
The hot doggers.
Oh, goodness. No, that's not their real names. That's just their... They don't play a hot dog. Or they're not a hot dog. They just... Were they hot dogging on the freeway?
Well, that's what I actually thought it was when I first saw it. But then, no.
That's what they call the employees that drive the Wienermobile. Hot doggers. Bad. So let's move on. The next article that we're going to talk about here, I titled That Could Light a Huge Joint. And that's because Snoop Dogg is going to carry the Olympic torch on its way to Paris Games.
Because when you think national representative, it's most definitely Snoop Dogg.
The ratings are going to be high on that televised event. The rapper will carry the torch through the streets of Saint-Denis, the northern Paris suburb that's home to the stadium where some of the Olympic events will take place. Hopefully nobody's going to do what they did to the Seine and go to the bathroom in it. That's supposedly what was going on. There was like a governor or something like that said the water's fine.
Mayor
the
of
water's
Paris
fine.
Or something.
Right,
yes.
right. And everybody was like, "Hey, I'm gonna line up and pee and go to the bathroom in the water." And he's like, "I'm gonna do it anyway," and he did it anyway. Apparently, try that here in the United States. You know, you plop that water down from Aaron
Brockovich.
Yeah, that kind of thing. And they're like, "Yeah, you know, I'm pretty hydrated right now." Devin Markham over at thehill.com put the article together. Snoop Dogg said, "You got to do it. Will you be watching? It remains unknown who will light the Olympic cauldron, but you can bet Snoop Dogg is lighting, sparking a big one up with the Olympic flame. If he does that, I would die. I mean, that would be hilarious. I don't know if it's legal in France, so
I don't either.
So the rapper will carry the torch through the streets. I know who it's going to get handed off to. French actress Letitia Costa and rapper MC Solar will join Snoop Dogg in carrying the torch. However, it remains unknown who's going to light it. This will be revealed moments before it happens. Who do you think is going to do it? I don't know.
I mean, how can you stop Snoop Dogg? I don't know.
I think Vegas people are betting on who's going to light
the sure. They have the most ridiculous bets, like what color somebody wears in an event, or
there has to be some deadline though. Okay, let's keep moving.
By the way, illegal in France.
Oh boy. Well, I guess Snoop Dogg. Wow. How does he even get his way into the country?
I'm not quite sure.
I'm sure he can resist for a couple of hours. So maybe not. So the next article is over in the Wanted channel. Intel has finally tracked down the big problem that's making 13th and 14th gen CPUs crash. And for several months, Intel has been investigating reports that high-end 13 and 14 generation desktop CPUs, mainly but exclusively the Core i9 13900K and 14900K, were crashing during gameplay. Intel partially addressed the issue by insisting that third-party motherboard makers adhere to Intel's recommended default power settings in their motherboards. But the company said it was still working to identify the root cause while they announced it. And I don't know. Andrew Cunningham over at arstechnica.com put the article together, though. It says, but microcode update can't fix CPUs that are already crashing or unstable. So, yeah, screwed. That's kind of what it comes down to. The company announced yesterday that it has wrapped up its investigation and that a microcode update to fix the problem should be shipping out to motherboard makers in mid-August following full validation. Microcode updates like this generally require a BIOS update, so exactly what the patch, or when the patch hits your motherboard, will be up to the company that made it. And Intel says that analysis of defective processors confirms that the elevated operating voltage is stemming from a microcode algorithm, resulting in incorrect voltage requests to the processor. So in other words, the CPU is receiving too much power, kind of like the motherboard that's sitting on that desk right over there, and is degrading stability over time. So I need a whole new motherboard for one of my servers. Not good. Yeah.
Not good.
I'm looking at you. Sorry, it started to crawl away. Sorry for digging in the trash there, Mirawatt. Anyway, it says that there's been no mention of 12th generation processors, including the Core i9-12900K, suffering from the same issues. So who knows? It's a different architecture, so I guess we'll see if that actually bleeds down into the older generations. But look, if you're 2 generations plus old, you just upgrade. You know, that's what everybody tells me. Just spend,
just spend thousands of dollars, right?
Yeah.
Who can't, right?
Come on. You run a fictional town. You're the mayor. Just increase taxes. Maybe not. Hey, guess what? Whales are still tired of your crap. This is over in 4-Wheel Tech. Huge whale capsizes fishing boat off east coast of U.S. So before I get into this article, this has been an ongoing thing. So whales are sitting there, punching yachts all over the place with whatever they can, from tails to snoots, whatever it is. They're trying to do some damage, right? There was a couple that was trying to sail across the Atlantic. They actually met their demise on some far-flung island, actually a couple of hours off the coast of Canada. But their yacht, a 42-foot-long yacht, just disappeared. Nobody knows. They were found in a life raft by this island. Now, that is right before hearing about this. So maybe that yacht got sideswiped by a larger whale, basically demonstrating, hey, look what I can do, no hands. So a large whale smashed a fishing boat Tuesday off the coast of Portsmouth, New Hampshire, sending 2 people into the drink. You can actually watch this happen. Yeah, Aaron Marquis over at jalopnik.com put the article together. Bam.
Oh my goodness.
You actually see one of the people going into the drink, and then I suspect the other one went in after. And then this young kid here with a fishing pole goes, oh yeah, I'm outie.
Right, exactly. On a much smaller boat, presumably. We can't really see it. But
yeah.
How to describe this? It looks like somebody's knocking over like a toy boat.
Oh, yeah.
In a bathtub, based on how the whale is. Like, the whale is definitely winning against the boat.
Oh, for sure. It hits the back of the boat, the stern, and knocks it onto its side. I don't know what the full effect is, if it capsizes completely or if it rights itself. They're somewhat resistant to capsizing, even if the back end gets a little submerged. But the people definitely went into the drink, and I would be afraid for my life if I had a whale pissed off at my boat and I'm the one that ends up in the drink. And I don't know what happened. It says 2 teen brothers out for early morning fishing caught the whole thing on video and came to the rescue of the survivors. Oh, so they didn't beat feet. They actually just went right towards it. Wow.
Well, they were lucky that fishing boat was out there, because I don't know how far offshore they were.
One of the men jumped into the water and the other was thrown overboard as their boat rolled, and the Yeager brothers said that they helped pull them out of the water. The brothers say no one appeared to be seriously injured. So, there is a full video that you can watch. If you follow the link through ohmTown over to Jalopnik, you can find it, or you just do a search for huge whale capsizes fishing boat and add Jalopnik to the search, and you'll find that wherever you want. So, well, cool on them for going over and helping. A lot of people would
especially
just get out
a
of there.
personal risk, right? Because that could have happened to their boat.
Yeah, I mean, and this would be terrifying, but it's doing exactly what we've heard about other whales doing. They're going for the motor or the rudder, trying to disable or sink the vehicle, so the boat. And it looks stereotypical nowadays. You keep hearing about this. So, and these whales are actually learning from other whales how to do this, which is kind of hilarious. But
it's like a whale army is being created.
Yeah, you can't tell me that they're not. Yeah, maybe.
Oh, it's just at a whale navy. I don't know why I said a whale army. They are water based, right?
Could be a whale army, I suppose. And we don't know how they build their armed forces. They might not refer to it as a navy or an army. Everyone does military service, so it's not really compartmentalized like that. But do you think that they call them, like, are they SEALs?
Oh, I mean, I don't know. There might be some competition with the other SEALs.
They don't put together squads either. They're pods, right?
Right.
Yeah. We'll noodle around this thing, right? I'll have my people talk to your people about this. We'll pitch it back and forth there. Anyway, the author says that they're no marine biologist, but it looks like a humpback whale, a creature that can grow up to 60 feet long, weigh 36.3 metric tons. This isn't some orca hopped up on a Mediterranean holiday. It's a leviathan from the cold, dark depths. Of course, it's going to wreck your shit, but they almost never make the attempt. Well, we used to think that, but boy, are they out.
Recently, yeah, that's changed.
What's that called?
If
a rumspringa. They're out having a party.
okay.
There's a Amish, like, take a break from living with the Amish lifestyle, and they go out on rumspringa and have a party basically and see what the, I guess, civilian life is like, and then they come back and they go, okay, look, I'm done. But yeah, that's what they're doing here. They're just out kicking everybody's ass and throwing sand in their face. Get off my beach. All right, let's move on. So I'm going to just jump in here and say no, even before I say the title. Do height supplements really work, and can adults increase their height? Yes, by breaking your legs and expanding them slowly, millimeter by millimeter, in an operation that actually does exist, but it costs
I was thinking by stretching your arms or jumping in the air or something. I think it's temporary.
It is temporary. Yeah, you can use gravity shoes and hang upside down like a bat for half the day, and then you'll be
super dizzy.
Your head will be wider. Like being really close to the monitor. Anyway. Do height supplements work? With brands like True Height, New Best, Tall, and Bione in mind, we discuss all things height supplements and growth. So Sean Jackson over at cnet.com put the article together. I'm just going to jump in here again and say no. So it says taller people may even be less susceptible to experiencing certain medical conditions like type 2 diabetes, mostly related to leg length among men, and dementia also linked to men than women. So how do you get taller? One popular way is supplements. The overall goal is to help you adopt healthy behaviors, because some of those behaviors may maximize height, depending on your age, of course. In saying that, it's estimated that about 80% of your height comes from your genetics. Sure. I think all of it comes from your genetics. The rest,
right? Where
nutrition
the rest?
is just
maybe
you
diet,
exist.
Right?
How?
I don't think diet increases your height, but it could probably
Mitigates.
right. Like if you, for instance, never ate a vegetable or something like from birth.
Yeah, I mean, by the time you're what, 18, 20, you've already met your or reached your maximum height. You're not growing into your 30s and 40s. In
Right.
fact,
Like,
every 20 years you shrink an inch or something like that. That's why I'm only 4'11". I started out at 6'3".
but yeah, like adults can't have a gummy and suddenly be taller the next day.
And not the gummies that no, never mind. I don't think this way.
I'm in a, never mind.
So what are height supplements? They're vitamins that aim to nurture good health, strong bones, and healthy sleep patterns, and all the things you need for optimal growth. However, it's important to note that a healthy diet, enough physical activity, at least 60 minutes of moderate to vigorous physical activity daily for kids and teens aged 6 to 17, and proper sleep are enough on their own. Exactly. So, no, you can't get taller just by taking a supplement. There are certain things that...
If you're past the time when you can grow, right?
Exactly, yeah. You can chart your child's height progress to see if growth appears uniform. Take them to a doctor. That would be great too. From the age of 2 until around puberty, your child should grow around 2.5 inches annually. Diet, exercise, and medical conditions like an underactive thyroid condition could cause growth to be higher or lower than average. So then they go, what factors stunt height? This is less about can you take supplements and more about, I guess, not getting straight to the answer, which is, again, no.
Right. Now, you can probably appear taller by having good posture.
Sure. Or letting your hair
not
grow
being
out.
Hunched over.
Letting your hair grow out and then spiking it so that you get that extra optical inch. Anyway, some have turned to height supplements to help. While they provide access to vitamins and minerals, you can also find these in well-balanced diet. Kids and teens can also support their height potential through a healthy diet, exercise, and proper sleep. Unfortunately for adults, once your growth plate's closed, there isn't much you can do to increase your height. Although, again, I'll say what I said earlier, there is an operation. It's thousands of dollars. They break your bones in your leg and expand it millimeter by millimeter so that it stitches back together and you're taller. And then they remove it. Somewhere around $5,000 to $20,000, depending on the length and the complexity of the operation and stuff. It's pretty expensive.
I don't think the cost is the big issue with that. You don't ever want to have an elective surgery that you do not need.
Well, that's an ideological bent. So some people, the reports are that if you're taller, then you get, not only do you get more respect, but you get more money, greater attraction, opportunities. And so people have gone that extra mile to add 3, 4, 5 inches to their height. And then barring whatever malady comes of it, you know, stretching muscles and tendons and stuff that you're not genetically predisposed to may cause longer term issues on the other side. That I haven't seen a long-term study, you know, longitudinal study of it. But everything that I've read so far is it's a sociological mechanism, not a biological mechanism. And the reports are that people make more money and get more opportunities simply because they're taller. Yeah, take that to the bank. And they do, apparently. Want to keep going?
Sure.
We're going to take one big step where no person has gone before. This is over in the Continuity Report. Star Trek, every version of the Starship Enterprise. There have been many versions of Star Trek signature starship, the USS Enterprise. I'm just going to jump through this really quick because this will probably be in our weekend show, but it depends on what the news holds throughout the week, because our weekly show, which is going to be this Saturday instead of this Sunday due to mayoral duties, we're going to be the show is called The Continuity Report, where we talk about entertainment news, and it's focused on that. So be sure to follow us here on Twitch and over on YouTube, and download the podcast and hang out in the Discord. And if you want all of today's articles, the show notes as we call them, you can hit NSN NSN, and it will pull up all of the show's links. And so here over on Twitch, you'll be able to see those. On YouTube, you'll be able to see those, but YouTube gets rid of the chat after the show is done, and Twitch gets rid of everything after about 60 days. So the show notes live forever over on YouTube and in the show notes at the podcast. So you will be able to go over to the podcast, download the podcast, and all those links will be there. If you want to get all of the show notes from every show that we do, and we have 7 of them now, you can hit !show notes, and that'll give you the syntax. And if you want to get to that podcast, the podcasts, all 7 of them, you can hit !pod, and that will give you links to all of the podcasts. And since we're changing things up a little bit, we're doing it earlier, and then on this weekend, it's normally on Sunday now. So this Saturday, we're doing the shows just to keep you aware of it. Reality Hacker Wanted, WarCrafters, The Continuity Report, Technology Today, and 4-Wheel Tech, along with Non Sequitur News, will be done on Saturday, starting around 10 or 11. It depends on how fast we can transition from mayoral duties to the show, which I suppose is a mayoral duty. Yeah. Anyway, so let's keep going. This article over at ScreenRant.com is written by Dalton Norman and Rachel Holschult. They talk about the history of the USS Enterprise, from the primitive XCV-330 to the futuristic Enterprise G. The iconic ship symbolizes diplomacy, heroism, and the exploration of the universe and time. Yeah, time and space. Pretty cool. Captain Kirk, Captain Picard, Captain 7 of 9, all left their mark on the Enterprise, showcasing its enduring legacy in the Star Trek universe. Dun dun dun. So they have 12 that are listed: Pre-Federation Enterprises and Enterprise NX-01. That's from Star Trek Enterprise. It changed shape several times over the, I guess, decades.
Is that because of just like director type preferences, or is it because they're really supposed to be different
eras,
models? And
different eras, different technologies. Sometimes they get a name modification because they do a substantial refit, not just a repair job, but a complete refit, or they change the entirety of the ship and its technology. So NCC 1701, and then there's a bunch of iterations of it. So there's the NCC 1701 with refit. And there's certain things that are indicators that it's a different USS Enterprise, NCC 1701. Sometimes they give it like that, 1701A. Most of the time you can see that the oh my goodness, these are for the warp nacelles. The nacelles change, and there's a disc in the front. Oh my gosh, my brain. It either changes color or it changes shape. And then NCC 1701B, and they go through it. C, D. Next Generation is probably the most significant change that I recall in my time watching Star Trek. I'm a huge fan of Star Trek, but don't hold me to trying to remember each individual episode. If you want a historical breakdown of all of the episodes of Star Trek, go look for a podcast called The Greatest Generation and The Greatest Trek.
Greatest track, yeah.
Yeah, there's two, made by the same two people, and they have watched every single episode in the order that they were released. But they've been doing it for years now, something like 4 or 5 years now, and really crushed it. They have a huge following. So if you're interested in that kind of thing, just go look for them. And the rest of these kind of continue on. This article includes things like Commodore Georgie LaForge, who is LeVar Burton in the series, lovingly restored the USS Enterprise D, and the ship saved the galaxy one last time in Star Trek Picard Season 3. Spoiler alert, but it is what it is.
Well, and since Picard is over, hopefully everybody's seen Picard already that wants to.
Yeah, that never happens. There's always somebody. I'm going to get an email. You son of a bitch.
You ruined Picard.
I'm not going to vote for you. And then Star Trek Nemesis. There's cinematic, and then there's the TV version. I don't know if one is canon through and through, and the other one is retconning from time to time. But First Contact through Star Trek Nemesis. This is one of those redesigned ships that you don't see in the series, but you see in the cinematic side. Then it looks like this. Star Trek Picard is closest to that previous one, and then G, the USS Enterprise NCC 1701G is from Picard. It's a redesign too, where it actually, if I recall correctly, it kind of squishes down the nacelles. It changes the nacelle design, and again the little disc. I can't remember what they call it in the center. Doggone it. Anyways, I'm sure that they talk about it.
I looked up some diagrams of the Enterprise parts, and I could not find that term, but it was more generic. Like, it didn't get into enough detail.
Yeah, I'd be able to find it if I decide to just stop talking for 5 seconds. Anyway, that's not what we're here for. We're not here for radio silence. We're here to talk about the news and keep on trucking. So I am going to do the thing that Bones really hated and teleport myself over to the next article. And do you know why Bones didn't like teleporters? The transporter beam, the transporter would break you into your atomic structure, encode you in as data, and then rebuild you on some other teleporter platform. You were a copy of your original.
Yeah, exactly, like a clone.
Yep. Dun dun dun. Okay, well anyway, next article is over on Four Wheel Tack. Garage hit by derailed train for the second time. It's because trains really hate this garage. A CSX freight locomotive overran the tracks at a rail yard, smashed through a fence, and then carried 30 feet into a detached garage in Niagara Falls, New York, on Monday morning. Incredibly, no one was injured in the massive crash, but the derailment spilled up to 2,000 gallons of diesel fuel in the ongoing struggle of trains being allergic to their tracks. Oh my gosh, this is somebody's house. This isn't like a commercial garage somewhere. This thing just chewed
like
right on into
an actual house garage.
Yeah.
And how did it happen twice?
Yeah, they need to put stronger bollards at the end of that track so it can't keep on plowing through. There's a reckoning. Ryan Eric King over at jalopnik.com put this article together. And yeah, so the deck statement says up to 2,000 gallons of diesel fuel from the locomotive was spilled during the derailment. Just imagine if that all catches on fire. Diesel fuel is hard.
Think about that spilling, I don't know, into your house. I mean,
into the water supply. Yeah, not pleasant. But when I've brought this up to other people, there's always somebody that says, it's not a big deal. Really? How pissed would you be if that happened in your backyard?
That property.
Yeah, exactly. So they say their primary focus right now is the health and safety of on-site staff and personnel, the surrounding community, mitigating risk to the environment. CSX appreciates the swift response of the Niagara Falls Fire Department, so good on them. But knowing that this is the second time that this has happened, last year the railroad derailed a train into a federally protected river. And over the years, there have been thousands of derailments, not necessarily CSX, but yeah, trains regularly become allergic to their tracks and just fling themselves off with no rhyme or reason. East Palestine, anyone? That's the location where they actually dipped some water out and handed it to somebody to say, yeah, it's all natural, right? Yeah, it's all good. Yeah, go ahead, take a drink. And they're like, no, I think I'm fully hydrated, thank you. I am a hydro homie, but I'm not going to drink any of that water. Let's keep going. Not much more to say there. I titled this one, Cybersecurity is Serious Business. Although I'm a big fan of cybersecurity, cybersecurity is expensive, wildly expensive for small businesses and individuals. A lot of people take it for granted, say it's somebody else's problem, and get upset when something happens. I have started a campaign called Click with Care, which seeks to draw awareness to cybersecurity related issues at the end user level and onward. In fact, I was just talking to somebody about a game that uses an anti-cheat solution called Denuvo. And their game pings out. It's a local only game that doesn't have any multiplayer local like LAN or live service connection, but it pings out to some remote server for some reason. And if your firewall blocks it, it ends the game. You can't play the game. And so I said something about it, and I have yet to hear from them, but I think the company basically is like, well, take it or leave it. So I'll leave it, and they won't get my money.
That seems like an intense result.
Yeah, I mean, it's friction born to stop low-hanging fruit from pirating the software or cheating. But if somebody's going to cheat, believe me, it's going to take a couple of weeks. The game will be cracked and distributed willy-nilly, and the only people that have to suffer are the paying customers. Well, a cybersecurity firm rejects a $23 billion Google takeover bid. In an internal memo to staff, the firm's founder and chief executive said that he was flattered. When you turn away from $23 billion, your business is worth a lot. And maybe they just really love it.
I can't think of a rejection of an offer that high. I'm sure there have been, but that's pretty high up there.
And to say no is just amazing. So Joe Tidy and Graham Fraser put this article together over at bbc.com. Israeli cybersecurity firm Wiz has rejected a $23 billion takeover offer from Google parent Alphabet in what would have been the largest ever acquisition. I wonder... Well, anyway, so the source close to the deal told the BBC that the offer was very tempting, but Wiz believed it was big enough to go it alone and attempt to become the biggest cybersecurity company in the world. And guaranteed, it's got connections into government and defense, and probably competes with United States domestic providers of cybersecurity, and has highly skilled cybersecurity professionals. If Google is pinging it to see if it's ready to be taken over for $23 billion, then it's probably in 5 years worth $75 billion, if not more than that. So earlier this year, the firm reported an annual recurring revenue of $500 million. So that equating to $23 billion is odd. They must have some technology that Google thinks is really spectacular. He said the company would instead seek to reach $1 billion in revenue before selling shares to the public. So they're just going to grind away. Yep. I haven't looked into this company to see when they were started, but there you go. You kind of go from tactical to practical. Military to Microsoft. Wiz is the third venture by Mr. Rappaport and his three co-founders, Ami Letwak, Roy Resnick, and Yinon Kostic, who first met while serving...
Founded?
I'm sorry?
Oh, it's because it was a spin-off. It was founded in 2020,
Oh my goodness.
but there was
Yeah.
something before it.
Yeah. So it says many of the biggest Israeli cybersecurity companies in the world have been created by people who served in this division, including Check Point, Palo Alto, Armis. And they compete with large organizations like Northrop Grumman and other defense contractors, including the one that just kind of wet the bed for the second time by the same person. In 2012, the founder started a cybersecurity company called Adalom, which was bought by Microsoft for $320 million 3 years later. So they're doing what they do and making expert technology. Now, how is this different from this in that the technology that they sold to Microsoft has to be the intellectual property that's powering this, because cybersecurity really is a finite resource. There's plenty of ways to look at packets and look at threat detection and intrusion detection and prevention. But yeah.
I mean, did they really start from scratch with an entirely new solution?
Right. It's like intro to cooking. There's only so many ways to describe intro to cooking. But they're selling it.
Crack an egg, boil some water.
Yeah. So it's really some really skilled cybersecurity professionals come out of Israel too. So, all right, folks, let's keep on cooking though. We're going to go over to the Marble channel. Coca-Cola is losing steam in America, and I said, watch what happens to weight loss drugs. That's the title that I gave this. Weight loss drugs and non-alcoholic options. Which, why does Coca-Cola have anything to do with non-alcoholic options? Have consumers holding off.
That doesn't make any sense since they have one of those.
Yeah, it's weird. Have consumers holding off on buying sodas, at least in the U.S. The article is over at QZ. Go.
I think it said previously there were a few main sodas. Now there's all kinds of juices and sparkling waters and just all kinds of different beverage options that may not have existed when Coca-Cola started up. And
I think water is the biggest thing. It's getting pumped up by streamers quite a bit. You know, everybody basically is told to stay hydrated, and when 13,000 people at a bite in one streamer's channel see the streamer being told or asked or reminded to stay hydrated, and everybody is there to watch, and out of respect they actually are watching. It's not like it's just passive. They're listening to the person playing a game or talking about the news and staying hydrated. And so I think that it's just kind of getting to the point where people are going, I just need to drink some good tasting water. Couple that with weight loss drugs, and I am predicting that there's going to be some downward pressure regulatory wise on weight loss drugs by way of the healthcare industry basically clamping down more and more on releasing healthcare drugs unless you're in a very, very narrow band.
Weight loss drugs.
Yeah. So a boom in weight loss drugs and non-alcoholic beverages has, and non-alcoholic. The way that original title, the one that they released, is different than what they say here. Has consumers trading soda for healthier options. Francisco Velasquez over at QZ.com Quartz put the article together. I don't know to what degree they're going to get into this. So it says volume sales declined by 1% during the quarter, which isn't that much, but when you see it declining, and it's never declined before.
And also think about their 1%, right?
Right.
That's a lot. It's not like some startup that sold 10 cans last month.
Yeah, and they still beat Wall Street's expectations during the second quarter, $12.4 billion in revenue, 84 cents a share. Wall Street had forecasted they would generate $11.76 billion or 81 cents a share, according to a source called FactSet. They've actually offset things by offering Fairlife Milk and its namesake soda Coke, which finished the quarter in second place in retail sales growth during the quarter. So they're kind of complaining about a non-issue in that it just decelerated.
Interesting.
So, yeah, keep on investing, I suppose. The company said it now forecasts organic revenue growth between 9 and 10, upping its previous prediction of 8 and 9. That's kind of like going, I won, but I should have won by much, much more.
That's exactly it.
I don't know. I guess saying it this way prevents investors from selling. Don't worry. We're going to still keep climbing.
Right. We still got tons of profit
Plenty
here.
of juice to squeeze. Okay. And our last article for today is over in the Mobile channel. McDonald's and Starbucks partner is being investigated for using AI to set prices. And it's not what you think. And let's see if what you think is, oh, they're analyzing all of these people's purchases and realizing that they can raise the price.
Right, because one of our customers is a purchaser of Birkin, so they can afford a more expensive cup of coffee.
Oh, so what you're thinking isn't what I think most people were thinking about this, that all they did was use AI to analyze the economy and that they could raise the prices. What you're thinking about is dynamic pricing, where if I have a history and have been calculated to have more money, I can be charged more and I'll still buy it, versus my neighbor who's just barely getting by and can't afford it, but can still afford X amount of profit, right? So you are right. And I hadn't looked at this. That's just what but you made me think of that as you were talking about it. Oh, I gave it away. Gotcha. You read me the way that I didn't want you to read me, but okay. So we can't play poker because I guess I have no, my poker
Unless we're paired up.
I think their name is Rocio Falbro, over at QZ.com or Quartz, put the article together. The FTC is probing 8 companies, including MasterCard and JP Morgan Chase, over surveillance pricing, which is what Amazon got in trouble with at one point, because surveillance pricing, or dynamic pricing as it's called, changes the price based on the perception that you have the ability to pay more and thus increase the profit margin dynamically. Let's just say it is anti-consumer and downright unethical. Really what needs to happen is you set a price and everybody pays that fair price. Just because I have good shoes on shouldn't be an indicator that I can have more charged, because my pockets are deeper.
Yes, absolutely. And something about that just reminded me of the episode in Frasier, where he's pretty wealthy, but he was in not wealthy looking clothes and had lost his keys and wallet and whatever, and people were making all kinds of assessments about him and his ability to pay, and I think they were trying to buy him coffee and whatever, and
give him stuff.
it's like, I got it.
Yeah, gotcha.
But I think customers also, it's not unreasonable to want to see an advertised price and know what to expect.
Right. And online, the advertised price is sometimes in a vacuum, because you and the person next to you, you could be on 2 different browsers, right? 2 different devices, and you'll see 2 different prices, but you may not look at each other and go, hey, mine is $24.99 and yours is $19.99. So 8 firms across industries, MasterCard, JP Morgan Chase, Accenture, Task Software, McKinsey & Co., Revionics, Bloomreach, and Pros received orders from the regulatory agency Tuesday, looking for information on the impact of this pricing practice on privacy, competition, and consumer protection. Using data tools like AI, companies employ a practice known as surveillance pricing, or dynamic pricing, to show different prices to consumers for the same products based on their demographics, psychographics, shopping history, etc. So psychographics are all about your personality. Demographics are about your physical and economic status. If they have access to your credit history and or browsing and shopping history, it gets really dystopian and creepy real quick. And so I always tell this story about how Target calculated that underage girl was pregnant, sent coupons congratulating her on her pregnancy. Dad found out about it and got all upset, but the analytics were correct because they knew her shopping habits and they had shifted to all natural materials. Sure enough, the statement was that there were things going on under his roof that he didn't know about. And with AI, the amount of data consumed is massive, and it makes logical leaps that a human, would never be able to calculate. So they're trying to get to the bottom of this quote-unquote opaque market that categorizes shoppers and sets targeted prices for products and services. But it is capable of extracting more wealth from certain individuals. But really, we don't know what's going on here. Is it really getting more money from the ultra rich, and thus that's where it's a profit center for these companies? Or is it lowering the price so that they can get it, hype it up, talk about it, because that actually happens quite a bit depending on who it is. If they are, very popular, then they can just give a lower price or a lower percentage interest rate or whatever.
Oh God, here we go, social credit.
And yeah, essentially. And then they get more money on the other side because they're actually raising the price for the middle class that's trying to save money to become that upper class, But nobody's allowed to have any money because everybody keeps raising the prices everywhere, even though they don't really need to. And at the end of the day, it really just comes down to greed. But that's a longer term conversation that is coming to a head as retailers and food suppliers are going, oh, well, we can't keep on raising prices and making record profits and saying that it's because we have to raise prices that all of our costs are increasing. Well, you can't have record profits, and the goods are more expensive. Just doesn't make any sense. So.
Well, no, it doesn't, but that's what we keep witnessing.
Correct. Yeah. What you're seeing with your own eyes isn't real. So that's it, folks. That is all 10 of our articles for today's non sequitur news. I'm going to use AI. No, I'm not. I'm just going to pull us back to the front page. There you go. Normally there's some little story that I tell to get us back to the front page, but not today. We are done. Ta-da! Thanks for coming and hanging out. I am Mayor Watt, and that is the Sentient AI saying whatever they're going to say.
Good night, ohmTown citizens. Thanks for joining us for Non Sequitur News. Be back tomorrow for another episode.
Bright-eyed and bushy-tailed. I'm going to have to use AI to raise the price for viewing the show. It's still going to be $0, though. All right.